Oh, that was weird. Okay. Interesting. All right. So I was looking through this yesterday, and there's some really good stuff in here. This is pretty awesome, I think. You guys all have the sheets from those pages of the book? No? Let me see if she can put that.
She's been doing it for other classes.
Yeah, she has.
I hope that she can do it for this one.
Okay. She's getting ready, yeah. So. Then, you go.
Oh. Thank you.
So she'll have those out in just a minute. What about your 10-4? Have you guys been working on that? Your 10-4 habit?
Mine's weekly instead of daily.
Well, that's okay. That's okay.
Yeah, the broker tour this week had 10 homes on it.
Oh.
So I was able to
Wow,
10 homes.
10 homes.
And then last week, my door knocking, I was almost able to get, so that would be
How many?
40 people
Wow,
that I talked to.
that's awesome.
This week. I had 3 days to door knock, and yeah. So I guess I'm going out today.
Well, the weather's been nice at least,
Yeah.
so.
Yeah. Well, I got caught up with one guy who wanted to talk for half an
Oh,
hour.
Oh, wow.
that's fun.
But he would be a good advocate, so, you know, I want to nurture that. You know?
Oh, yeah, that's awesome. So did he give you his email address and stuff?
No.
No?
No, but he just saw me picking up my signs one day,
Mm-hmm.
and I went up to his house, and he was like, "Hey, there's my girl." I'm like, "Oh my God, way too familiar."
Okay, well, just make sure you keep the advocate from stalker, you know, make sure that there's a line there. You might have to sever that.
It's my age, I'm hoping that's how he sees me rather than.
That's possible.
And I'm actually just at a course.
Oh, okay.
So, but I saw the Ignite classes and I decided to come in.
So you're taking your courses to get your license?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, awesome. So have you been going to all the classes?
Yeah.
Oh, great. Okay, so you're aware of what they're supposed to do for their daily 10-4 habit. All right, that's awesome. And yours, how's yours going, George?
I'm keeping up with, like I said, you know, doing it on a weekly basis.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I really, I didn't realize, you know, one idea that I really liked was I got from one of the things on Craigslist, so I'm planning to actually do that today. I've been working last month. I worked a couple days down in Sacramento.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Good deal.
Yeah, it's coming. Slowly, but, you know, I one of the things I really didn't realize this is really not a part-time job if you, you know, really want to.
This is true.
Something about it, so.
I tried that when I first started too, and it makes it hard because if you think that you might get a call while you're at your other job, then it's, you know, it's a little difficult, and you can't run to go show a house.
Right.
Yeah.
The calls always come at the least convenient.
Yeah.
Always. Always. I can be open the whole day, and then right in the middle of something.
Yep.
Really?
I know, right? Yeah. Yeah, I totally get that. So we're supposed to watch a video, the Power Up video, and I didn't see that. I was looking online, so I can ask Jessica about that. I'm not really familiar with what it is. So we are supposed to do our affirmations this morning. So if you want to go ahead and do that, we're going to be saying, my business is growing abundantly. So we should probably all stand up so that we have all the power.
Yes.
Put our
Stand
super
up. Yes.
person, remember the Superman stance that you're, and okay, my business is growing abundantly. My business is growing abundantly. My business is growing abundantly. Feel the money coming in now? There we go. Let's see. And then, okay, so you guys all have okay, I just want to make sure what compared to mine. So it talks about using the scripts that we've been practicing. Have any of you asked your Mets for referrals as well as business? No? Okay. Invite people to your open house. I'm sure you did that, Jillian, right?
Yeah.
Smile.
Every way possible.
Yeah.
I need to find somebody to shadow some, when the open houses start,
Mhm.
learn the process and be able to slip in for somebody.
Yeah.
You can show up at Cal's. Cal's is
Yeah.
awesome. I shadowed her before I started.
Okay. Cool.
I know she's doing one this weekend.
Oh.
I don't know where. She's doing one this weekend.
Okay. Thank you.
I'm doing two this weekend, but I haven't had a lot of luck at that location. I just really like that neighborhood. So there's not much to shadow.
What neighborhood is it?
It's Paddington Way.
Oh, really? And you're not getting any?
No, and I told Bob,
That's
I
weird.
said, you need to drop the price. There's some continued interest, otherwise I can't keep coming here. I have to have a reason to be here, so if you drop the price, I'll have a reason.
Yeah.
So he did, because the last 2 weekends I've been doing it, but nobody showed up. I mean, people have shown up, but they're all realtors, and I'm like, that's not helping me.
Right.
I need somebody with patience.
Yeah, I know, right? Yeah, just doing that for fun, right?
Yeah.
Let's see. Make as many calls and write as many corresponding note cards as you can in 15 minutes. So I guess you're supposed to put that on your schedule.
Yeah, I'm a C. I have to think about it too long. It takes longer than 15 minutes.
Yeah.
On that.
I know. And, whenever I go to Target or even Walmart, sometimes if I have to go down the stationery aisle, I'll just pick a cute little box of stationery note cards. And I have these ones with a little hedgehog on the front. And then the envelopes are hot pink with little lighter bright pink polka dots on it. So it really stands out in the mailbox. And I've just been writing those occasionally to, past clients and people I know, and just like, hey, how's it going? And, that they really like it. I've gotten, people saying they've got their note in the mail, but because nobody gets mail anymore. And then when they're really cute little bright cards, it makes it even more exciting. Oh, what's this? So yeah, I think that's a great idea. And I've been doing that a lot. So got tons of cards too. Let's see. So they want us to actually call for 15 minutes. So we'll just do a quick time lapse, time warp here. Let's see. Go on to the next page. Get your head in the game. Hello.
Hi, everyone.
Did you tell Jessica that you're going to need the sheets? Okay, great. Perfect. All right, so this is where the fun starts. This is the moment you and your buyers have been waiting for. They can't wait to find their dream home and get a deal on it. You can't wait to find their dream home, get them a deal on it, and make it all happen as quickly and as efficiently as possible and get paid. Use as many time-saving techniques as possible to cut down on the hours you will spend on the home search. When you put your buyers in the driver's seat, figuratively and literally, to find homes and leverage every showing to move your buyers towards their final choice. The process will be as efficient as it is fun and exciting. So then it's got the graph of how long do buyers look. So, that's kind of seems a little long to me, but maybe not. I mean, maybe it averages out to that. If I don't have very many buyers and I have one, I just focus all my attention on them and try and get them into a house as fast as possible. And hopefully they're in the right price range, but there's a lot to choose from. Because I did have one buyer, they had to wait like a year because there just wasn't ever anything coming up in their price range. All right, so then we've got a message from Sean Kokoza. Would anybody like to read that? You want to read it, George?
Which, I'm sorry.
In the circle here, or
I was just reading it. Now, you can beat the average when Sean Kokoska, mega agent and buyer specialist in Colorado, was working exclusively as a buyer specialist on the Kokoska team. He showed an average of only 6.3 homes before the buyers made an offer. One of the keys to Sean's success was setting clear expectations right from the start. He used this script. What I have found is that the average buyer I have worked with looks at 6 homes before finding one. Now, this might be fewer than what you would expect, yet keep in mind that I'm a buyer specialist, which means that my only job is to help my clients find the perfect home. So once I get that picture in my mind of exactly what you are looking for, I should be able to take you right there, and you do want to see the best homes first, don't you? Of course, not all of Sean's buyers made an offer after seeing 6 homes, but because he had established such expectations, they would often apologize for blowing his average. At that point, Sean would simply say, don't worry about it. I'll do whatever it takes to find you the perfect home, and you can make it up to me by just work for what I do. That's pretty cool.
What's that?
That's pretty good.
Yeah, and you have to be comfortable saying scripts like that. So after a while, once you've been saying their scripts the way they say them, then you can kind of spin them, on how you might say them. They tend to be a little bit more aggressive with some of their wording than.
They're written by me.
Yes, yeah.
Some of us are not deans.
Right, so it doesn't flow very well.
But I've learned that if you say it the way they say it enough times, then you can get what they're trying to get at through the script and make it your own. But if you make it your own from the beginning, it's pointless.
Yeah.
Because you're not getting the point.
Anybody else have any thoughts on that? All right, let's see. If you establish your buyer's wants and needs before the buyer consultation, do a search for properties that match their criteria and then qualify those homes during the consultation. If you establish your buyer's wants and needs during the consultation, plug that information right into the search engine and then qualify those homes together during the consultation. So that does help, especially if you have quite a few homes to choose from, or even if you're in a lower price point, then we're having to look at a few different things. If you're under the $150,000 range, then you could be looking at, you're either an investor with cash or conventional loan, and they're probably going to do something with it, not necessarily going to live in it. And then you've got your buyers who are first-time home buyers, they're FHA buyers, and then they have a lot more restrictions on what they can buy. So sometimes they'll see things online, or some things will pull up, but they're not actually the homes that they can purchase. So it's really good, especially if you get like 8 of them, to go through and show them, because they need to learn, because they will go home and search online. So if you pull up all the pictures and you're showing them the houses, and they're like, oh, but that one has a pool. But yeah, but look at the pool. The pool is a disaster. There's no carpet in the house. It's missing this and that. There's broken windows. This will not qualify for an FHA. It doesn't, we shouldn't even bother looking at it. So those are good things that you can teach them about what they need to look for when they are looking at homes. So if they see something that pops up and, at home, and they're looking on Zillow or whatever, and is that what they call it? Zillia? No. And it's like 140,000, and they're, oh, it's in the perfect neighborhood, everything we want, but it's not livable for whatever reason. They need to be able to discern that somewhat for themselves, because otherwise they're going to be disappointed. So it's good for them to have a little bit of education, I think, in that. Thanks.
So they'll be all over the place if you make a page in the beginning.
Yeah.
They're timing you and all that.
Yeah. If they're doing a conventional loan and they want to fix it up themselves, then that's fine. They can pick out whatever they want, and they know what they're getting into. So that's good. But a lot of times under the 150 or even under the $175,000 range, going to be FHA, and there's going to be a lot more restrictions on what they can buy. When you're up in the higher price ranges, there's going to be a lot more to choose from, but you also don't want to be going out showing, necessarily 15 homes. You want to narrow it down to the ones that best meet your criteria. So it's good to do that in the office.
So what's a good number? So you're not, having too many out there.
Well, and I think in here it says this next paragraph, so I'll keep reading here. Qualify the home you find online, and we're on page 8, I think. Set the expectation that you are going to narrow the online search down to 15 homes closest to what they want, using the criteria you established with the buyer's questionnaire, and especially their 5 must-haves. And that was from Power Session 7, the buyer consultation. Dig deep with your questions and really explore the alternatives. For example, there may be only 3 to 4 homes with a formal dining room in their price range, but 38 to choose from without one. Once they have seen this for themselves, refining what they really want becomes much clearer. So it's just about having a conversation, really.
Mm-hmm.
Showing them those homes online, and then deciding if they see something else that they can give that, because there's another house that's got everything else that they want on their list. Next, print the MLS pages of the 15 finalists, turn away from the computer, and really compare apples to apples. Together, identify the top 5 to 7 homes to tour. If your buyers want to see all 15 finalists, keep their focus on the top 5 to 7 by using this script. Anybody want to read the script?
Basically, just briefly, it says, when you find the right one, you need to act quickly, otherwise you might lose it. But when we do find the right home, we'll need to act quickly, and I know you're going to have that feeling of, well, is there something better out there? But I have to tell you, the best ones don't right away, because they are the best homes. Everything else is just a leftover. I want to make sure that you're leftovers. Do you want to see all the homes, or do you want to find the right one quickly?
Yes. Plus, if you'll know too as you go along, if there are homes that are really well priced in those 15, that you need to make sure that they're on the first list that you see that day. Because if they can't shop for another week, and then one of the ones that they really like, is well priced, can't see for a following week, it might be gone, and then they're going to blame. All right, so choose a partner. One of you should play the agent, and one play the buyer. Enter the following buyer's criteria in the MLS. No, we don't have. we're not,
require everybody to have.
yeah, we can't really do that. So basically you would enter, we'll just kind of do a mock idea here. In the MLS, you would do your search with the price range, use the average for your area, or if you already know what their price range is. If they have a preference for their neighborhood, then of course you want to use their bedroom and bathroom choices. And then if they have special features, which are really hard, we can do the pool. I don't think very many agents actually put whether or not there's a formal dining room, and it's very rare to have basements here. They do in Marysville sometimes. I usually also put in square footage and then ask them if they have a preference on lot size. I wanted a big lot. And then based on the number of homes that result from the search, refine their criteria until you have 15 or fewer properties to review. Using just these 15 or fewer properties, further refine them with your buyer until you have a maximum of 7 homes.
It's 7 to 10.
Mm-hmm.
Not to 5 to 7.
Oh, I'm sorry, 5 to 7. Oh, I was looking, I guess my brain went over to the 10 minutes. The automated online search. The internet allows your buyers to take the driver's seat when it comes to finding their future home. Set them up on an e-edge automated campaign and monitor what your buyers receive. Contact them when you think there is a property they should see, and let them know that they should contact you immediately when something comes on the market that they would like to see. So for me, I try to look at the MLS every morning. Just so you know, you've probably heard of the e-edge system that we have through KW, that you can set people up with searches and they get listings, and you can put them on drip campaigns, send them emails. It's pretty thorough. You can see what's been being sent to them, but it's limited on, if they're searching in there, you won't be able to see it unless you have the premium membership, which is $100 a month. But otherwise, you can see what's sent to them in the automated listings, and then if they're and looking at them further. So that's kind of nice. There is a 24-hour delay. So if there's a really great house that pops up on the MLS and you think that they might like it, send it to them from the MLS. Because they probably won't get it until the following day. There is a delay there. And depending on their price range and how well a house is priced, it could be gone in a day. I mean, if it's overpriced, it'll be there for a while. But if it's priced right and it's exactly what they're looking for, you need to get them out and on looking at that property right away. Continue to check in periodically to see what your buyers think of the homes in their search. If no homes meet their criteria, you may have to meet with them again to realign their expectations. So I do try to like to keep in contact with buyers that are really wanting to buy a home fairly quickly. It's really good to know what their motivation is and how soon that they're expecting to buy. And then also what kind of shoppers they are, because you do want to, like what Sean Kokoska does, gets them in within the 6th house if he can. Some people, very few, I mean, we've only had a couple that they still are always thinking there's something else out there. So they have to really shop for a long time. I haven't found that to be the case, but I also haven't found anybody who's like super excited and ready to pick the first house either. So I think here somewhere it did say that a lot of people, you know, he shows them like the best house first, and a lot of people will buy like their first house. I haven't found that for myself. To be a little bit too nervous to just jump right in right away. Like, well, yeah, we can buy the house like right away, but not like as soon as we walked in the door and it's the first house and we're buying it. So I think they start to feel a little more comfortable when they've had at least some other houses to compare it to. So. qualify the home they find online. Your buyers call you, and boy, they are excited. They have found the one. As exciting as this moment is, take a moment to qualify the home before you jump in the car and show it. Check the MLS to make sure the home is still available. Oh my gosh, this is so important. Last year, I don't know what was going on with Zillow, but I had so many buyers call me all the time, and I couldn't even find the house in the MLS. And I was like, where did you see it? What are you talking about? And people would call and they would say, it's this house, blah, blah, blah. And I finally would find it under like pre-foreclosure. So they just got a notice of default in the mail. They weren't even for sale. They just didn't pay their mortgage for a couple months. They fell behind. We have no idea when they're going to sell. I mean, if they default and then they continue to go into foreclosure, maybe they'll do a short sale. I mean, we're talking 6 months, a year, a couple years. Maybe they just borrowed money from grandma and they just paid it, so then they're back fine again. So those homes are not available. Don't look at them. Don't obsess over them. You're going to have, they need to forget about those houses. And if they are going to shop on Zillow, they need to uncheck mark the box for pre-foreclosure, because they'll drive you nuts. Because then they think, oh, and then they see the Zillow estimated pricing, which sometimes is very inaccurate, a lot of times actually. So that's very important. Plus, you can find that they'll be either in Metro List or they might be in Nevada County MLS.
Or somebody would call off of Trulia and they want to see it, and I'm like, available.
Yeah.
And then Jason reminded me to go into Quattro, and I was like,
yeah. Well, and Quattro is pretty rare.
I can, do one search to see if it's available.
Yeah.
Rather than searching each individual.
We had one that these people said there was a sign on it, out of town, north. I couldn't ever find it anywhere. And it turned out it was a Southern California agent, and he put it in their MLS. Now, I don't know how I expected to sell it up here with just a sign, but it was crazy. Yeah. That was a whole weird deal. I don't know that it was even like real, but. Okay, so that was 1. 2, compare the features of the home with your buyer's wish list, and 5 must-haves. If it is a really good fit, or are the buyers letting an emotional factor cloud their better judgment? If it doesn't seem like a good match to you, take advantage of the opportunity to further fine-tune their wants and needs. Simply asking 2 or 3 questions can save you an hour of time viewing a home that doesn't meet your criteria. So you told me that blank feature was one of your 5 must-haves. 2 of the homes you sent do not have that feature. Is this something that you are willing to give up? So that's a really good line right there. Really good. Because that definitely happens a lot. So, I mean, I was just home shopping last winter, and I felt the same way. Like, I had a couple must-haves, but there were a couple things I was willing to give up if the other ones, met or exceeded my must-have. So, sometimes you're willing to give those things up. So it's really good to know. Because it's so funny, because when they first give you their list, it's like boom, 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 and they seem like really strict on it. But other things can make them change their mind. 3, if all systems are go, make a showing appointment. Leverage the trip by checking to see if there are other comparable homes your buyer might want to see at the same time. Yeah, and if you have already seen one of those homes or a home in the area, that you let them know about it. When you're shopping, when you're going out and you're doing the tours on Tuesday, and you have a client that says, hey, I'm wondering about this house, and you've already seen it, oh, you feel so knowledgeable. You're like, oh, that house, yeah, it's awesome, or kind of smelly. Are you sure you're okay with that? You know, let's see. Here's a tip. Buyers who are willing to buy a distressed property that needs some work can apply for a 203K loan. It's an FHA-backed home purchase and renovation program that allows buyers to bundle the price and documented repair costs into one loan. So this is where if you do have somebody in the lower price range and they are an FHA buyer, they could do a 203K loan for a fixer and build the repairs into the cost of the house. Not a lot of lenders like to do those. They can be very difficult. There's a gal in our area. I don't know that even Rockland does those, but there is a gal that specializes in those in Yuba City. Deborah Marsan. She does those, and she has her stuff together. They do cost them more. I believe the interest rates are higher, and then they do end up paying for all the repairs, but it is built into the loan. So if your client is at $150,000 budget and they're looking at $150,000 fixer, it's not going to work. You're going to have to be looking for a house that's quite a bit less. This is the way I understand it, so that because they'll build the remodeling in the loan, so and their payment will be a little higher than like a normal. Let's say they get it for $125,000 and then they're going to do $25,000 in repairs, so it'd be $150,000. Their monthly payment is still going to be a little higher than it would be if they bought a house that was already done at $150,000 because of the interest rate. That's the way my understanding is. I believe they do classes on those sometimes at her office. Sure who, actually, she used to be with Prime Lending. I'm not sure who she's with now. That's something to check into because it's kind of complicated and I don't really know anything about it. So, but very interesting. Your internet search may turn up a good number of homes listed as short sales and REOs. Many buyers are looking for a deal or even a steal will want to see those homes because of their perceived value. It is especially important to qualify buyers who are interested in distressed properties and set expectations for pricing, home condition, and timelines. 1, qualify your buyers. Good financing is a must when it comes to short sales and REOs. While the contract to close process is slow, closings tend to happen very fast. And if your buyers are not paying cash or not have lined up rock solid financing, they are risking losing the deal. So I had a buyer, he was a young guy, VA, and I showed him this distress, or it was a REO, yeah,
Scenario.
it's a bank-owned property. So the bank has foreclosed on the property, and because the people weren't paying, the house is empty, and they're selling it. And they do tend to go for less. Unfortunately, when this happens a lot, it's not always, but like a house I showed to this kid, a lot of times the people get mad when the bank foreclose on them, and they either trash the house or they take everything. So these people took out every light fixture in the house. There were wires hanging. You couldn't turn on anything. You know, some of them they'll take like toilets and cabinets and door cabinets, which just seems really weird, like cabinet doors only. But this one, it had a couple broken windows. The parts of the air conditioning unit were taken. So you just never know. It doesn't always happen that way. Sometimes I'll only take a few things. I mean, it can go from the gamut. You know, somebody who loved their house and they lost it, they leave them in good condition. But it really varies completely from house to house. They're never the same. But that will usually be reflective in the price. But then, like a VA buyer is similar to an FHA buyer where they have a lot of restrictions on what they can purchase. And so my client, he wanted this house, but a bank is not usually willing to do any repairs to the house. And I would say 99% of the time, they're not going to do any to work with you or your buyer. So you have to take that into consideration. So it's good to talk to whoever the listing agent is because she knows how that bank works and if they're willing to figure something out to make a deal like that work. Otherwise, if you have a conventional buyer, you're fine. But it's always good to go and check what the property condition is and see if it's something that will work with your buyer and with their qualifications. Set expectations. It's a myth that all of distressed properties are steals. In markets where they dominate, they are simply at market price. In markets where they are in the mix of equity properties, they will almost certainly be a deal. But since the condition will most likely be subpar, what they gain in price will be counterbalanced by what they must spend to make improvements. Finally, while timelines have gotten shorter for short sales, it will still take longer to close than an equity property. So with a short sale, that's where, and you guys know, yeah, okay. So the bank is taking a loss on the property and allowing the owners to sell it. And those are much faster, but they can still take up to months for bank approval. So if your buyer is willing to wait and they can stay where they are, maybe they're renting or whatever, and they're okay with that to get a better deal, then it might be just right for them. Some banks are moving along more quickly. You know, they could be in the house in 2-3 months. So it varies from bank to bank. If there are a significant number of REOs in your market, leverage your time wisely by identifying the top REO agents in your area. These agents know how to maintain and present homes that have been abandoned. They work with banks to make the most significant improvements and to ensure homes will close smoothly. I know there's, I think it's HUD Homes that they'll go in and put in new carpet and paint. And so those you don't have a problem with buyers on. And those are like the Fannie Mae or Fannie Mac homes or something. And you rip those classes on those, and I highly recommend taking them because I've taken them a couple times and I still don't remember all the stuff you told me about them. So, especially if you're newer too, it can get really confusing. So the more you take the same class, the better. Any questions on that? Okay, 2, showing homes. Organization and the ability to guide your buyers towards a decision will make your home showing successful. Prepare to show homes. Set the home tour date with buyers. Time permitting, preview the homes and eliminate any that do not meet their criteria. Determine which route to take, always showing the best homes first. Well, that seems kind of weird because you could be zigzagging all over the place, and most of my buyers tend to follow me and they might think I'm crazy if I like zigzag, you know, and just show them that. So I would maybe start with the best one and then go to closer ones around that. And you can do all of that in Google Maps, which is really cool. And I try to do all of that before I let them know where we're going. So I would print out all of the pages I need, all of the MLS printouts, the agent detail and the client detail. I punch them all into Google Maps and figure out which one I want to start with and then go around. And then I always go back. I like to highlight on my agent detail. I usually highlight the address, I think the price, and then where the key is if it's on there, and vacant, or if it needs an appointment. So that, because you're driving and you're doing all this other stuff, you're like, okay, which house is the next one? And, you know, then that way too, you'll know, like if you have vacant, cool, no problem. You know how long you're going to be there. You have to kind of guesstimate. And then the third one is an appointment. So then you want to give yourself hopefully like an hour time range of window to show it. And then I usually will put that, I'll just write it at the top on my paper. So you've got to kind of align all that together. Your map, you know, which order it is. If it's number 3, it's going to be the appointment, what time that is, and then so on. And especially if you're showing like 7. So that helps a lot. It'll also tell you how much time it takes from one property to the other, and then you can add in like the time, how long you think you'll be there. Buyers are very slow. They like to move it. It's not exactly what I want, but let's just pretend and we're going to move all of our furniture in mentally. Okay, this is going to go here. This is, and an hour later they're like, yeah, no, the nightstand just doesn't work. Okay, so we're really ready to move on. I haven't had too many like that. Have you had many like that? No, I've had like 1 or 2, not too many, thank goodness, because by house 3 are just really. You really don't like this one, remember? Can we just leave? So, it's funny. Okay, call the sellers the day before the tour to schedule show times and rearrange the route if necessary. So that would actually be the listing agent more often than not. Sometimes they have you work with the seller. Arrange to meet your buyers at the office or in front of the first home you will be touring. And I tend to meet mine at the first house, usually. And then I'll let Siri tell me the way to go, because I always get nervous about where I'm driving and what I'm doing when I have people calling me or following me, you know. So, determine the most effective route to take. You should have already done that. And then print out the 2 detailed MLS forms, your client and your agent details. Place the MLS information sheets in the order you will tour the properties and include a home tour checklist for each one so the buyers can record their own comments. Make 1 set for your buyer and 1 set for yourself. Make a copy of the 5 must-have sheet that was filled out during the buyer consultation and include it with the MLS and home tour checklist you will give to your buyers.
What you said you wanted.
Yeah, exactly. They say by showing your buyers the best homes first, you can reduce your touring time. Once your buyers realize that nothing compares to the first 1 or 2 homes they saw, ask them if they want to make an offer on one of those. Then there's a free download. The Prepare to Show Home checklist and the home tour checklist are available in the toolkit on the Ignite course page at KW University, kw.com, Ignite.
So both of these,
Yeah. Create excitement and urgency. When you meet, create a sense of excitement by giving them permission to make an early offer. You might buy the first home you see. Don't be surprised if the very first home is the one you want to buy. The reason I tell you this is because you have given me a really good picture of what you are looking for, and if I have the correct picture, then I should be able to take you right to it, and we do want to see the very best homes first, right? So, yeah. Be sure to bring your checkbook with you. Create some urgency by showing them that the market is moving. Along with the homes you have selected to tour, add in a few that meet their criteria but have just gone under contract. Now be careful doing this if you've been shopping with them for a little while, because if you show them something that you missed earlier on in the week and they did too, and it was the perfect one, and it was on the market for 2 days, and then it sold, and they may be upset with you that they didn't get to see it last week, and how come you haven't told them about it. So I did have that happen to me, but I did tell them. So the client, he loves me very much. We're very close friends now, but at the time he's an older gentleman. We had a couple little, I had to put him in his place. I sent him this listing, and he said, okay, I'll go take a look. And then like, he didn't reply back. And then after that, and so I was like, okay, well, he doesn't like it, right? So then like, I don't know, 5 days or something later, he contacts me. He's like, well, how come we don't know, about these new houses, and then they're gone? Because it was like pending by then, right? And he brings up that house. And I said, well, I told you about that. I sent you an email. I never got an email. No, you didn't, blah, blah, blah. And I said, yeah, because when he replied, he said, I'll go take a looky-loo, or looky-look, or something like that. He used this kind of cute little lingo with me. So I forwarded him back the email that he sent me with the original picture and the listing. So he knew. He called me. He called me back, and he's like, my wife said that I needed to call you back and apologize. And ever since then, we've been like this. But yeah, so you just want to be careful, because if you don't want to show them something that you've missed or that they've missed. So if you're doing that, I would show them one that maybe doesn't meet their criteria, but is kind of similar in price or something like that, so that they know that, or if this is the first time showing them, you could totally say, hey, this could have been your perfect home, and, we need to get on this if you're really serious about buying now. Let's see. Yeah, so here it says, for showing buyers the market is moving. I was really excited to show you 7 homes today, but 2 of them have gone under contract, so they are no longer available. Let's go see these 5, and when I find one you just fall in love with, we'll make an offer on it so someone else doesn't get it. And you guys know the market and what homes in the price range that you're showing, if they are moving more quickly, or if the home itself is priced really well and will move quickly. Because if it is an overpriced home, which we are finding sometimes that they are, then you're going to want to do comps for it if they're really interested, so they know that they want to come in with a lower offer. And that won't be so much as part of the urgency to put in an offer right away, but you could then also say, well, it is overpriced, but there could, it's a beautiful home, so I'm sure it's getting a lot of action, a lot of people looking at it, but maybe some people aren't willing to just try a lower offer. I mean, if you really like the house, this is where it should be priced at. Let's just give them an offer and see if they'll take it. So, it could be $5,000 or $10,000 overpriced. It's actually a benefit in a way to your client if they're coming in at lower price on, a house like that, where they don't have to necessarily be in a bidding war with other buyers. So. And you'd be surprised, because sometimes when they are higher priced like that, people won't bother to come in with a lower offer. It'll just sit there, and it's a consequence that seller takes, because they could lower the price, started with a lower price of like $10,000, had lots of people looking at it, and then a couple people fall in love with it, and then they end up bumping their offer to $10,000. So. Yep. Let's see. Couples may want to exchange opinions on their own. Be sure to give them some private time by stepping outside or walking off into another part of the home. So that can be awkward if you're standing there and they're trying to have the house. Tour the home. 1, ring the doorbell even if the home has a lockbox. If the property is occupied, ring the bell at least twice before entering. Before going beyond the entry, shout, "Hello, real estate agent," a few times to make sure there is no one at home. I've done that before.
I do that when I go to my open house.
Yeah, I do.
Because I never know if they're going to be there when I get
Right.
there, or they've already left.
Yep.
And so I'll knock on the door, and I've had people answer, and I'm like, okay, didn't expect that, all right.
I know, huh? Well, we had a listing on Twins, and the adult son lived there, but the mom had moved out, and I know, the gal had 2 little dogs and a cat. Well, this other agent wanted to show the house, but that her client was terrified of animals, like terrified. So, I mean, literally the gal had like 2 little dogs, and a cat. I mean, it was nothing. So they sent me, I'm the animal whisperer, to, grab the herd and hold all the animals while she let her clients look around. But I go in there and I'm like, hello, because it looked like somebody was still there. And I'm like knocking on the son's door, and he's not answering. He was in the shower, and that was kind of embarrassing. I mean, I didn't walk in on him in the shower, but I did open his door to his room, and he was like, oh, okay, yeah, I'm getting out. Because, I mean, the people were going to be there with, like, in any minute, Yeah, so it's always good to make sure that house is empty and nobody's there. Let's see. 2, record your own comments on your copy of the MLS sheet for each property you show. As you show it.
How do you deal with certain sellers that want to be there? We always encourage them not to, but sometimes they're adamant about wanting to be there.
Well, and usually their agent will tell them not to be there. And I've been there with a couple and times with them there, and they generally are pretty accommodating. I think more often than not, it's a tenant that tends to be there than an actual owner. A couple times that I've been there with owners, they're usually people that really want to show off their property. They have a lot of pride of ownership, and then they're also kind of selling in a way too. You do have to be careful. I've luckily have not experienced it, but there have been times where they don't get along at all, and they could want to kill each other. It's a little far and few between, but it can cause problems and that's why we try and keep them separate, because maybe they'll say, well, this is going to go with it, and it's not an attached item of some sort. I can't even think of anything, like a wheelbarrow, let's say. Oh, well, I'm going to leave the wheelbarrow, and then they don't, and then this big feud happens, but it wasn't written down anywhere, and maybe I didn't hear it and the other person didn't hear it, and so then they want to kill each other over it. So it's good if they don't meet, but I haven't had any problems with it personally. The one seller that we had, I had the buyer, and it was in Live Oak, and this couple, they just loved their home. They've been there for years and years, and they did all the selling. They were just telling us, we did this water softener thing, and this we did to the patio, and the stuff that you don't see, all these different little things that they did, and it really helped sell the house. And then they were nice enough to, they even gave their number to my buyers, and they were like, if you have any questions on it, you can call me. And my buyers did get the house, and then what I kind of like actually about it is if they do get along, and if there are multiple offers. These particular people, there were several offers, and I had my clients then write a letter about how much they loved the house. They clicked so much too. I was like, they're going to get it, and they did. So it made it exciting. So there's good and bad. You just kind of, if you see that there's tension there, then move the people out, or somehow, but otherwise, if things seem to be going well, then, you can take advantage of it. 2, record your comments on your copy of the MLS sheet for each property as you show it. So this is good because I don't know about you guys, but by like house 4 or 5, they sometimes tend to remember better than I do, maybe because we're not as emotionally invested in the house itself. So I'll kind of tend to forget sometimes, but maybe what color the carpet was or whatever. So that's really good. 3, have your buyers give descriptive names to help each of them visualize the homes individually. That's kind of a good thing, actually, because I've never done that before.
I see a lot of that on HGTV.
Yeah, yeah.
Do they, oh, yeah,
Yeah,
you're right, huh?
Yeah.
I forgot about that. The Property Brothers do that a lot. Which one do you want? Yeah,
The smelly cat.
yeah.
House.
That goes for a lot of houses in the area, doesn't it?
Yeah, I've been in quite a few
I
lately.
mean, right?
The agent must be lying for this particular.
Oh,
I would have to have somebody go in with me on any house that had cats, because I own cats, so I'm blind to that smell.
oh, really? Oh, wow.
So, I mean, but I know that about it, so I will proactively ask somebody who doesn't have cats, hey, can you come check this out for me?
I know I showed one and it smelled like a farm. It was really bad. A barn, actually, would be a better choice of words. But yeah, it was, we were standing in there for a little while and we were all like, okay, we need to go outside because we can't even breathe in here. Let's see. 4, while touring homes, avoid making comments. Let your buyers come to their own conclusions. Instead, ask questions. You want to get inside their heads to determine if this home is really a match for what they want. Sean Kokoska likes to ask, what would you change about this house? This gives him the knowledge he needs to get them into the proper home. And that's a good line. I mean, there's sometimes that you just can't get away from what is wrong with the house. Or I've seen issues where there's been like some really bad mold, and I will point out that this is a problem because you don't want that. I mean, obviously we're going to do inspections, but some of that stuff you can't. So if you can see a little bit of it, they just need to go in with their eyes open. I mean, I showed a house once that it was a rental, and they did refurbish it later. I saw it up for sale like 8 months later. It was way overpriced, but they did an amazing job. But for me, visually, I still couldn't forget walking through the kitchen, and the gal had a dog that had puppies, and she let them pee and poop all over the kitchen floor. So walking through the house was like walking through a landmine field. It was terrible. And she had little kids. And I couldn't believe anybody could even live like that. It was disgusting. So even when I walked through the house later, and it was spectacular, they did a beautiful job remodeling it. It was an old craftsman house. So pretty. I just couldn't get over the visual of what the kitchen used to be and that floor. And I was just like, I just couldn't do it. It turned out really nice, but yeah. So sometimes with smells and things like that, you just can't get past them. But I do like what he says here. I think that's great. 5, help buyers identify their perfect home by pointing out the benefits, not the features, that align with the needs, wants, and values you already have identified with them. Features are attached to the property. Benefits are attached to the buyer. For example, if the home has new windows, point out the benefit, not just the fact that they are new. New windows mean you'll have lower utility bills, so you have some extra spending money. And this is good because I think Letty, when I first started, Letty had spent some time with me, and we went to do like an avid on a house, and she was saying how when she first started that she would go through and look at a house and be like, well, I don't like that, and I don't like this, and then she realized that she was like unselling these houses. So she learned to just like walk in, and be quiet, because what we want or like is not going to be the same as what somebody else wants or likes. So that's where, if it is something major like mold or something structural or something that you're concerned about, that's one thing. But otherwise, look at the benefits of, does it have good bones? Are they wanting something that they can grow into later? And so, there's what the benefits are in the home that they're looking at. While it may not be to their perfect liking now, what could it be later? And is that something that they want to invest in? So there's lots of things to think about there.
And sometimes you might unsell the home, but if it's a safe safety issue. I think we need to make them
Mhm.
aware of that. And
Yeah.
I appreciate that situation where clearly they were ready to make an offer.
Yeah.
And I saw signs, red flags, and I said, no, this isn't a safe neighborhood, number one, that's
Mhm.
major. You know, and I told them that, and they appreciated it so much, they loved it for us. And so we finally found a home in a safe neighborhood that they loved, and, but because I was honest, I just wasn't trying to sell, you know, just
Right.
sell a home right away. And,
Exactly. Yeah, this will be fine. Just get a big dog. You're so good, right?
yeah, keep your gun loaded.
Yeah.
Yeah, you'll be fine. Yeah.
Right.
But they really appreciate it, even though we could have, you know, had a closing, you know, but
Mhm.
I couldn't do that because I'm looking out for their best interest, and they do appreciate it.
Yeah.
Well, you want clients for life.
Exactly.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
the goal, and that's the thing.
Well, I know I showed one house and the gal she didn't mind doing some updating, and I mean, it had like a light lime green carpet and really horrible, wallpaper on the walls. But, you walk in and you're like, oh, okay, and I try to laugh those things off because, this particular lady, she wasn't planning on keeping it like that anyway. She wanted to do upgrades. So instead, it's like, had this big picture window in the living room, and outside it had this gorgeous Japanese maple that was kind of in the middle of the yard that just like hung like this beautiful drapery over it was beautiful. The yard was gorgeous. I mean, you look out the window and all you could see was green with little spots of blue sky. I love that. To me, that I could sit there all day and just zone out on that. So, it was like, well, the carpet might be ugly, but wow, look at this. That will never go away as long as we get to keep watering somewhat. You're going to always have that beautiful view out there. And, you can put French doors in and, have your patio there because you actually had to go down into another room and out to go outside. So, I mean, I could see all these different cool things that she could do with the house. And depending on what they like, if they want to spend time outdoors, because some people just like a small yard, and it was small, but it was beautiful and it was very private because of all the foliage out there. Somebody else might want a giant yard, so it wouldn't necessarily work for them, but maybe there are other features in the house that they'd be willing to give up the bigger backyard because it is private and it is beautiful and then everything else is a good fit. So it's picking out the good things that they like and then letting them decide. And then it's got your features and benefits page here. Let's see. Does anybody else have any examples of something like that? Like a new roof or a fireplace, a feature or benefit that they could explain to their buyer?
Like a new roof, you won't have to, worry about replacing it for 24 months.
Mm-hmm. And that's a savings, right? Benefit is
But solar, so it's going to save on your energy costs.
the solar. Mm-hmm. That's true. Let's see. Recognizing buying signals as you tour the home. Pay attention to your client's buying signals as you are touring properties. This will give you the leverage you need to help the buyer make a decision. If you have identified who the decision maker is, of course it's the woman, right?
Oftentimes.
Keep your focus on them. If they are not as excited as their partner, you may not be any closer to an offer. Some of the most common buying signals are listed below. Body language and facial expressions, smiling, brightening up. 2, asking about a seller's motivations. 3, asking detailed questions such as the seller's disclosure or taxes. Placing furniture, of course not. Comparing other houses to it, discussing new paint or carpet, sitting down in the house, becoming protective, not wanting other buyers to see the property. If they tell you that they'd like to take the sign down when you're getting ready to leave, that's a good indication. And asking for a second showing. So that's another thing. If you show them the house that you think that they'll like, and you show it to them first, just remember that they very well may want to go back and look at it again, and possibly that day. So be prepared for that if you think it's really something that they're going to fall in love with. And then also raising objections. You may be surprised by number 10. It is a common misconception that objections such as "I don't like blank" mean that a buyer is not interested in a property. Objections are actually strong buying signals. When buyers raise an objection to some features of the home, it means they are imagining themselves in the home. I was trying to think of any of her, not really coming to mind right now. Tip. Listing agents will call buyer agents who have shown their listing for a reaction to their property. On properties your buyer was absolutely not interested in, you can explain why. On properties that your buyer is interested in, do not discuss any comments your buyer made regarding that property that could compromise negotiations. You do, however, want to provide some sort of feedback because you want the same consideration on your listings. That's interesting. So I think it also depends on like how many offers there are, because if I have a buyer who loves a house and I know the agent and I'm friends with them and they're already getting in other offers, I let them know that my buyer absolutely loves this property. And what do they need to do? And if they really like you, they might tell you. So there's kind of a give and take with that. If it's a price property, then yeah, your buyers kind of like it, even if they absolutely love it. You know what I'm saying?
Then sometimes when the seller is really motivated, then the agent, the selling agent, the listing agent contact you. Did your buyer like the property? Do you want to make an offer? You know, they call you.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
The seller is really motivated, you want to sell it quickly.
Absolutely. And we try and call anybody that shows the house just to see where they are. I mean, when we had our smelly cat house, we called we knew what the problem was, but then it was, you know, why are your people not making an offer? What do you need to do, you know, to get them to do that? So it helps you make decisions too, and to help your seller as well. I'm going to take a break real quick. I'll be right back.
No, pleasure to meet you. Hi, I'm Geraldo.
Hi, I'm George Shaw.
Nice to meet you.
I got a bad wing.
Oh, you got a girl? What happened?
I pulled a tendon in my arm.
Too much heavy lifting. Take care. How you doing, all right? Good. How's it going? Not bad. You all right? What's up, stranger? You all right? You got the party up today? Yeah, I'll run for a little bit. Yeah, 'cause that's what I remember.
Roxanne, what's going on? Good, good. Well, that, I really don't remember that one. Hey, what's going on? Hey, whatever Roxanne sent you yesterday, whatever Roxanne sent you yesterday,
Yeah.
that was not true.
Yeah.
Yeah, she didn't put a hot buttons on there.
Yeah.
She didn't put a deep fried fish on there.
Yeah.
She didn't put a carrot cake on there.
Yeah.
And cookie and ice cream.
Yeah. Yeah, I knew you were there. That sounds like a familiar lunch. Yeah.
Okay, anybody have any questions so far? Okay. All right. Let's see. Objections. We love it, but we haven't seen enough properties yet. Okay, this sounds really common to me. My role as your buyer specialist and the reason why we met for a consultation is to sort through the homes that meet your criteria and only show you the best available homes, the cream of the crop. And the best homes on the market go fast, usually in 1, maybe 2 days. If you love this home, chances are someone else does too. Are you willing to lose the perfect home for you, your wow home, the one you will absolutely love, just so you can see everything else out there? So I couldn't say that like they've seen like the cream of the crop for what most of my price range is. I mean, occasionally, I mean, I've shown houses over 300,000 and I think they're all fantastic and they should buy every single one of them. But I mean, our average home price here is well, 2 years ago it was like 139. Now I think it's probably maybe 159 or 69 or something like that. But most of our buyers are anywhere from like 165 to 215 or something like that. So, as you get over 2, it's starting to become more slim pickings than it was even 6 months ago. So I don't know if any of them are actually their perfect home in that price range or as perfect as it's going to get for their price range. And so this kind of does work for me. I use something similar to this depending on what it is that they're looking for and the potential that the home has and how many of their must-haves it fits and the chances of finding those in other houses. I know when I bought my house, I felt the same way. I only looked at a couple of homes and we put an offer on one of the first ones and we didn't get it. And then this one, we weren't really sure that we wanted it, but it actually turned out to be the perfect house and we got it. We were very lucky. But I was nervous the whole time because I was like, well, what if something better comes along? And luckily that didn't happen. But it kind of helped me actually remember what it's like to be a buyer and be in those buyers' shoes because they do get nervous, about jumping in too soon. Is it the right one? And so really pointing out all the things that it has that they want and that they've been looking for. And if that fits that's kind of, that's not real common. It's not real likely that 5 more houses that meet that many of their must-haves are going to pop right back up in the next week or 2. Now, if they're not looking to buy real quickly, their motivation is, well, we can wait 6 months if we want to. Okay, but we also don't know what's going to happen with the interest rates in 6 months. The market does go up and down just a little bit, just even because of the seasons. It tends to be slower in the winter. So there are fewer houses that pop up, but prices do go down just a little bit. So you also have to take into consideration motivation at the same time. And then you can play it from that. Objection. We really want a formal dining room. Mr. and Miss Buyer, remember at our first meeting when we talked about there being no such thing as 100% house? We identified blank as being the 5 must-haves in your new home. Has a formal dining room taken precedence over one of these items? If so, which one? So I think they're saying really, that wasn't in their first 5. So it kind of makes sense. So then they're only allowed to have 5. That's what it kind of sounds like. But at least of their 5, is that more important than one of the other ones in there? And remember that objections to features are buying sites. Use the objection to offer the buyers alternative choices for handling the situation. Another objection. We don't like the carpet, paint, color, landscaping. Would you change the carpet or install hardwood floors or wallpaper, hire a landscaper preferred to plant your own garden? So this is what bugs me when they go on some of the shows on TV. I don't know if it does it to you, go on HGTV, and they know that they're going to buy a rehab house and get it remodeled, and they're like, oh, but I don't like the carpet. It's like, aren't you here buying this house to have it remodeled? So you remodel everything and keep the carpet, and that's why you wouldn't buy it. It drives me nuts. I don't know anybody else feel that way, or the paint or anything. One of the things that I think I got a good deal on my house is there were some military kids that were renting the house, and one of the bedrooms, they had put a black light in instead of the regular light, and the room was painted a brown color, and with that light on, it looked black. And we were there it was January, so I think we were there at like 4:30, so it was almost dark outside, right? But we walked in there and I was like, I couldn't tell what color it was. It looked like it was black. And the kitchen was red. The master bedroom was peach, orange. I mean, orange, orange. And the bathroom was the same. And I painted it all. It's almost all done. It's almost all done. I did leave one orange wall in my gym because it wakes me up. Yeah, I think that's why nobody put an offer on it. The colors were just bad. But, it's not, I hate painting walls, but it's not really, if you do it yourself, it's not really that expensive. Okay, bring your buyers to a decision. Remember, you are more than just a taxi driver with a lockbox key. Part of your job is to facilitate the decision-making process for your buyers so they can make an offer and get the home they want before someone else does. This is an important milestone on the countdown to payday. 1. Each time you show a new property, ask your buyer to rank that property on a scale of 1 to 10. You should each record that number on your home tour sheets. The purpose is to continuously decide which property is ranked at the top for a possible offer. I would say 1 through 5. I mean, I guess maybe if there's a lot of houses, but 10 seems really like more numbers than they need to decide from. Because it's either a 5 or it's like, if they don't like it, it's going to be 1. I don't know why they need 5 more numbers to decide. That's just my opinion. After showing, ask if they want to purchase that home. If not, find out why. This is your opportunity to further understand or reassess the buyer's needs, wants, and values. 3. When you have finished touring homes, put all the MLS sheets together in their order of ranking. Eliminate all but the top 2 ranking homes, saying, you don't seem very excited about these. Let's just cross them off the list. Physically draw a line through them and remove them from sight. I like that idea too. 4, take the highest scoring home and ask, so this is the one to beat. If nothing else beats this one, it's going to be your new home. Question mark. It does meet everything on your checklist, doesn't it? Validate their choice by adding, I can see why you are so excited about it. 5, ask them to make an offer. Once they have clearly narrowed in on the highest ranking house, help them focus on the next step, making an offer, by asking, would it make sense for us to go back to my office to do some research on house prices in the neighborhood to see what would be a good offer? And that's a great line too. All of these things are all really good. I would just change the 1 to 10 to 1 to 5. But I would definitely go back and read this again several times. I think all the stuff he has is great. The key to getting your buyers to make an offer is helping them through the elimination process as quickly as you can. Sean Kokoska, mega agent and buyer specialist on the Kokoska team in Denver, Colorado, aggressively begins the process as soon as they have seen the second property. He holds up both MLS sheets and says, yeah, now I know there are other homes available, yet let's see what would happen if these were the only 2 homes available. Which would you buy and why? Oh, that's good. Sean gets their feedback on the one they chose and then asks, because the home you chose is available, would you never buy you would never buy the other home, is that correct? When they say yes, he dramatically tears up the MLS sheet or crumples it up in a ball and throws it away. Okay. Sean says he'll do whatever it takes to get it out of their mind. He goes through the same routine with every home they tour until they are left with just 1 MLS sheet. If kids are involved, Sean will pull out a magic envelope. Only 1 home, the winner, can stay in the envelope at any given moment. The kids get to decorate it and are in charge of holding it all day. At the end of the day, it's an easy close. So we have our winner. Would you like to make an offer? That's really interesting. I've never even thought about that. That's no idea. So who wants to practice on somebody, your next buyer? Somebody gonna use that? No?
I think some price ranges it would work out.
Yeah. Well, I think I found with a lot of the price ranges, we only go see one or two, and not like seven. If you're over 250, then you can get in seven. I think it's a little harder to do that if you're into that.
Well, I had a guy who was very, very specific. There was, like one. When I first started looking, and we ended up with 3, but just like I went into Leanne, I was like, how do I make this list bigger?
Oh, yeah, I know, right?
Just so specific.
And you didn't pick out one, he didn't like any of them?
No.
What's his price range?
Under 300.
Oh, well, that's,
He wanted a big lot with a pool in North Yuba City
oh,
and updated
oh.
on the inside.
Yeah, who doesn't want
It
that?
didn't matter if it was an old house as long as the inside was updated.
He's willing to go up to 3. Sorry about your luck. Now, I guess that's one where you have to scan constantly the MLS every day and see,
Yep.
and then you're like, if something comes
Hey, I
up,
got one.
we gotta go look at it now.
Exactly.
And bring your.
Yeah.
What if you strike out? If your buyers do not want to make an offer on any of the properties you show, be sure to schedule the next appointment before you say goodbye. Even if you have nothing lined up to show yet, never leave an appointment without scheduling the next. Okay. That doesn't work very well for us here, I don't think. What do you think? That doesn't really, if we're having a hard time with what's available, that seems a little difficult to me.
What I would change is instead of an in-person appointment, I'll call you next week and
Yeah.
we'll talk about it. But
That's
you
a good
set
idea.
your own appointment.
That's a very good idea. I'm on board with
Once you've
that.
had time to think about what we've seen and you might reassess your must-haves.
Yeah.
And if you have, we can discuss it.
Yep, I like that. That's really good. Let's see. On the next appointment, Mr. and Mrs. Buyer, before we part company, get out your calendar. We're going to set up our next meeting to look for that home you want to buy. If nothing has hit the market by Friday, I will call you and we'll reschedule for the next Saturday. Oh, that works too. Overcome buyer reluctance. Once you have seen the best houses that meet the buyer's criteria, you may have to help your buyers overcome buyer reluctance. It's a common issue many people experience when they are suddenly faced with the reality of making an offer for one of the greatest financial investments of their lives. Your job is not to try to sell homes that aren't right for your buyers, but it is your job to help them recognize when a home fits their needs, wants, and values. When buyers are sure they like the house, but are reluctant to take the next step to make an offer, reassure them that the simple step of making an offer is not as binding as they may think. Make the offer, you can always back out later. And I've done that quite a few times. If it's a good house and they think they really like it, but they're not sure, make an offer on it. They're not set in stone.
How can,
They can back out for any reason. If the wind could blow the wrong way on, as long as it's less,
even if it's already been accepted?
yes. They have 17 days. That's your contingency period. I mean, it's set up to back out for either your loan or the pest inspection, home inspection, but really it gives them an out for anything. They could just change their mind and they're out. But it has to be done before you remove contingencies. Once you remove the contingencies, then they could still back out, but they will lose their deposit unless there's some other circumstances. But
So if they
typically,
back out within that period, they can lose their deposit.
right. They have the 17-day contingency period, and it's up to 21 days for their loan. So if they've removed all contingencies except for their loan, so that by day 17, they removed all the contingencies like pest inspections, stuff like that. Then from day 17 to 21, they still have time for their loan to get approved. If their loan doesn't get approved by day 20 and they haven't removed that contingency yet, then they can back out because of the loan, and they will not lose their deposit. So, yeah. So it gives them an extra little out. But once they've removed that loan contingency as well as all the other ones, then, yeah, they could, more than likely, they'll lose their deposit. And it kind of stands to reason that they should if they're going to wait that long to, change their minds. So.
Is that 17 calendar days?
No, it's calendar days. Sorry, calendar days, yes.
And that's basically, because, the reason why I was questioning that is because in law school, we're told once it's accepted, it's a contract, right? But really what sounds like what it is then is when the offer is made, there's a bunch of conditions to that offer that have to happen, and those conditions haven't happened yet. So.
Exactly. Well, for one thing, we don't know anything that could be underlying with the property. So the seller has 5 days to give you their disclosures. And, if there's something on there, like let's say somebody
Usually
passed
there's
away in the
something,
home and they didn't tell you that up front, like nobody said anything, maybe they forgot or whatever. And then they get the disclosures and it said somebody passed away in the house. Your buyers could just be like, oh, heck no, I am not living there. Some people are really freaked out by that.
So this is assuming there's always going to be something that you can.
Yes, yeah. As long as it's before you remove all your contingencies, then there's no reason why they can't get out of, buying a house. So, yep. But at least it gives kind of a good faith. They've already taken their deposit into title, within the first 3 days. They want to buy the house. So you definitely, don't want to write an offer if they don't want the house. But if they really like it but they want to look at a couple other ones, but they love this one, they don't want it to get away, and you think there might be some other offers, then you can write the offer. You can show them a couple other properties, But usually, if they're willing to write the offer, they want to buy the house. So let's see where it is. I left off right here. Your job is not to try and sell the homes that aren't right for your buyers, but it is your job to help them recognize when a home fits their needs, wants, and values. When buyers are sure they like the house but are reluctant to take the next step to make an offer, reassure them that the simple step of making an offer is not as binding as they may think. Make the offer, you can always back out later. I understand how you feel, and many buyers I have worked with felt the same way. What I have found is that it is better to make the offer and then back out of it later if necessary. There are several ways to back out of an offer, but if you don't make one before someone else does, you'll never even have the opportunity to think it over. It will be gone. Let's make an offer tonight to lock this home down for you. Diane Kokoza says, when you tour a new listing where the property is beautifully staged and priced right, and you realize that the property simply won't be on the market for long, be proactive and tell the buyer they will need to make an offer quickly if they like the home. It is better to warn them of the possibility than to be the scapegoat when it's lost. And then there is a KW Connect video that you can watch for handling objections to making an offer. So you guys should definitely watch that. Objection 1, what if the price drops? Or what if prices drop, sorry. Are you most concerned about the price of the home or the monthly payment on the mortgage? Of course, the monthly payment. I would have to agree with you. Let me ask you another question. Do interest rates generally go up faster than the home prices come down? What do you think? Yes, no doubt about it. In fact, interest rates could rise 1% tomorrow, right? Well, the home prices would have to come down 10% to make up for a 1% rise in interest rates. So if you are looking for a $200,000 home, do you think interest rates might go up 1% before home prices come down 20,000 in your price range? I would definitely agree with you there. So let's do the right thing and make an offer today before the interest rates go up. So, and that's another thing with people being nervous about the market. And, it's funny because you'll see a lender give an amount for a home buyer, like what they're shopping for. And I've seen this before, like the buyers, like they have no idea. You talk to somebody, they're approved with a lender that you don't know, and the lender says, okay, well, you can buy a $300,000 house. And they're like, oh, okay, that's awesome. Well, then they think that they're going to get the payment that they want, when sometimes those lenders don't even tell them what their monthly payment is going to be. And they'll say, well, I don't want to spend more than $1,200 a month, but they're buying a $300,000 house. That's not going to happen. That payment's a lot higher up there than that. Unless, that's when you say, well, oh, so you've got a conventional loan and you're putting down $75,000, $85,000 or more, so you've got to learn this, because sometimes they don't tell them. And I do it more where, yes, we need to know what their max is, but we also need to make sure that their monthly payment is in alignment with what their budget is. Because just because they could buy a $300,000 house doesn't mean that fits what their monthly budget is going to be. They have to be accepting of, even if their house drops in price, $50,000 to $100,000 or whatever, over, if we were to take a dive, are they still happy? Can they still live in their current situation if their job doesn't change or anything else? Are they still happy with their house payment that they have every month? Because before, what ended up is happening is that people were paying these exorbitant, payments every month, and they had houses that were way above their price range, really. And then when the market tanked, they couldn't afford those payments. So they couldn't afford those payments when they bought the house. They should have never been spending that much money on homes to begin with. It starts with the budget, not what they can actually, what somebody else says that they can buy. It happened even, somebody, Carol as an example. So Carol needed to buy a new car. So she started out without me in the morning because I had to be here for some reason, right? And she's at the GMC dealership, and they're showing her a $36,000 car, and she's like, or more, maybe it was even more than that. She's like, oh, I love this car. And I was like, okay, I'm almost finished with what I'm doing. Do you need me to be there? And she says, yes. So I get there, the gal's got her at the table, right? She's ready to lock her down, right? Carol's in love with this car. She wants this car. And I said, Carol, how much is the monthly payment? And she goes, I don't know. Do you know how much the car is? Well, I'm not really sure. I think it's like $36,000. I said, Carol, $36,000 car does not fit in your budget. And she's like, oh. Because, you can't make the two work, right? Unless she gets a loan on the car for 15 years, but they don't do that. And we wouldn't want to do that anyway, right? So I said, no, we got to work from it backwards. So you're looking at a $300 a month car payment. That's about a $27,000 car at the top, because there's a little wiggle room, right, with both sides. And be like, oh, okay. And then, so then I was like telling the lady, okay, that car's out. This is the budget, and then of course she takes us to the used car lot, this and that. And it was funny because then the gal took us to all the rounds at the car dealership they're supposed to. Then we ended up in the, the manager's office, and I was like, how long is this going to be before they just get the picture? This isn't going to happen. I'm not going to be letting her buy a new car here above her budget. This is the budget. So the next place we went to was Ford, and so we walked in. I said, okay, we're looking for this kind of car. This is the max budget. Do you have anything like, it was like one of the SUV things. Nope, we don't have any SUVs for $27,000 or less. Okay, thanks, bye, we're out of here. So we left. She bought her car for her. and it's very cute, and it's under her budget. Go team. So it's the same thing with cars. I mean, with houses, cars, with houses. As long as you stay in their budget, then they'll be fine no matter what the market does, and eventually goes even up higher, and they have equity, they're going to be so happy, so.
Is there a way to figure out a percentage of what what your mortgage payment should be in conjunction with your income?
Oh, there is. What time is it? We're almost out of time, but here, I can have her. I'm going to pop in for a sec if she's there.
I mean, so you can live comfortably. That's the main thing. You want to have it comfortably. Because a lot of times people make a payment, they can't eat. So
Yes.
it's paying for the house.
Well, and hopefully they know. I've found that most of my clients already know because they're paying something already, whether it's rent or a mortgage. So they should have an idea. How are they handling that? So if they're paying $900 a month in rent, if they go up to $1,200 a month for a payment, how's that going to work out? Houses tend to be a little bit more expensive because, if you get into a bigger place, your PG&E is going to be higher. Maybe you pay your garbage and power bill or water and sewer garbage. Maybe it was paid by the landlord before, now you're going to have to pay it. Or maybe you didn't have to pay for landscaping and now you have to buy a lawnmower or get somebody to do that. So owning a house could have higher expenses. So they have to take that into consideration too. A lot of times you might have somebody who's out there renting and they're paying $1,700 a month. And if they buy, they're only going to be paying $1,500 a month. So they should hopefully have an idea already. Let's see. Okay, I don't want to make an offer because I don't like the carpet. So other than the carpeting, is there any other reason why you wouldn't buy this home? Let me ask you this. If I could get the seller to replace the carpet prior to closing and you get to pick the color, the manufacturer, and the installer, and the carpet is installed before you move in, is that something you'd be interested in? Fantastic. Let's go ahead and make an offer. And I will write the offer, I will write in under additional provisions that the seller agrees to replace the carpet and you get to pick the color, manufacturer, and installer prior to closing. Generally speaking, we are going to have to come in pretty close to the full request price because the seller is going to have to spend to replace the carpet for you. How does that sound? And more than likely too, they would put a cap, they would probably counter you with a cap on how much the dollar amount would be unless you put that in there. And sometimes you don't want a counter because you don't know what else they might put in there. So it's nice if they would just accept it the way you have it. So maybe you would say if you kind of have a guesstimate, not to go over $7,500 or something like that. Objection 3, we want to sleep on it. I generally tell my clients, if you choose to sleep on it tonight, you might not be sleeping in it ever. I understand what I mean by that. Another couple might look at it yesterday and they said, let us sleep on it tonight. We'll make the offer tomorrow, which means today. And I have to ask you, so you don't blame me. If you don't get this home, how would you feel if someone else made an offer and this property was no longer available? And that works really good because if they're already putting it on and trying it on mentally and they think that might be theirs, then that's good to know. We kind of use that same thing if we know that there's multiple offers and they're trying